like, hey, I'll give you this house. You come work for me and pay this house off. And you know, there were people that they weren't beaten as bad and they weren't owned, but they were still slaves. And they couldn't leave. They were that man's property until they paid off that house. And what it was is they kept them in debt so they could never pay that house off, and they were always their slaves.
But nobody talks about that.
And the reason you can't talk about that is because they're like, oh, you're trying to downplay the blacks being slaves. No, I'm not. Not at all. I know blacks have fucked up. You know, and I know, like, a lot of fucked up shit happens. And, like, you know, a lot of the shit we see on the news has been happening for decades. And it's just, the only reason it's so controversial now is because we see it. Like, black kids get...
Exactly. That's why I try to tell, I try to tell my mom the same thing. She's like, oh, it's you know, it's the last days and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know, things are getting so bad now and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, things have always been bad. Mm-hmm. The only difference is now, just like you said, is...
It's visible, but the same thing's been happening forever.
It's just history replaying itself over and over again. And the only thing is now, like you said, people are more aware because they see it. Before, you know, all these bad things were happening in different countries, and we only heard about it third hand, fourth hand, 10th hand from, you know, the grapevine and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So, and the story gets changed. But now we see it.
Right. And it's just like, you know, my first experience with cops was, it was me and a bunch of my friends. I had a truck, so I had 3 friends in the back, all black, 2 in the front, because I had a 6-seater, all black. So there's 5 black kids, 1 white kid. We got pulled over, and their excuse for pulling us over was, oh, there's a robbery, you fit the description. They said it was a 96 white, really? A big-ass white 96 Dodge Ram robbed a fucking liquor store. Really? Come on now. Of course I didn't say that.
Right.
I'm thinking, like, really?
Gonna rob a liquor store, why would you have a new...
And I knew he was full of shit because everybody knew that was my truck in Riverside, because you don't see too many trucks like that. Because it was an older truck, it was like a classic. It was an older truck, big as fuck, everybody knew that was my truck. So when we would go to parties, they would see my truck, like, oh, Anthony and everybody's here. They knew that was my truck. And you're gonna tell me that my truck fit the description of a robbery. Really? All we were doing was coming home from McDonald's. Fucking assholes.
Like, what did I do? Rob McDonald's with my friends?
Yeah.
Like, oh, and we paid them since we, you know, we robbed for cheeseburgers and then paid them.
You know how many times I got pulled over, put on the curb because everyone in my car was black and I was white? I got treated just like everybody else. But God forbid I say something like that. You know how many times I got jumped by the white boys that lived down the street because I was a white boy hanging out with the blacks? You know how many times I got jumped by the Mexicans because I lived in a black neighborhood? I wasn't even part of their gang? Really? But yeah, oh, I can't say that. I'll be down. You know, it's fucking bullshit.
It is.
I've gone through so much shit in my life, and they want to try to say, like, if I were to try to say something like that, they'd say I was trying to downplay shit that happened to them.
And it's not.
Yeah, more bad shit has happened to me in my life than it's happened to any of these black kids that are going to college. You know, they live in a rich ass neighborhood.
Feel entitled.
Yeah, feel entitled. And they're like, oh, you know, pro-black. Like, I hate when they rub that in my face. Like, you don't even know what that means. You're a rich ass fucking, like, I'm gonna be honest. Whenever I meet a lot of like pro-black people, I get like, I don't want to say offended, but it irks me because it's like, it feels like they're preaching like segregation, like, you know, blacks gotta be with blacks, like, and that's not what all this.
It's just like you said earlier. That's not what the civil rights was about. It was about equality and, you know, being equal. How can we be equal if we're so wanting to separate? Mm-hmm. And then we get mad when we aren't wanted someplace. Mm-hmm. Well, we're doing the same thing.
Someone else, yeah.
You know, I don't want you in my neighborhood. Well, then why do you have to get mad when they don't want you in theirs?
Yep.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
And then what really sucks is a lot of black people fail to realize is me being a white guy, when other like racist white people find out that I'm married to a black woman or that I'm basically a black affiliate, I'm a bigger enemy than the black people. Like
you have some ulterior motive.
Right.
You can't help who you fall in love with, and not everybody sees color. You didn't fall in love with my sister because she's black. You didn't fall in love with her because of it or anything like that. You were just attracted to her and the
Mm.
personalities matched. Like,
Yeah, and I hate when people try to downplay. Like, I don't know if you saw this movie. It was on Netflix. It was with Kerry Washington, and her son was a black kid that ended up getting shot by the cops.
no, I didn't see
Good
that.
ass movie. Good fucking movie. I was hoping you seen it because I think I just ruined that for you.
That's all right.
But
I'll
it's a
probably
good,
end up watching it
yeah, it's a
anyway.
good ass fucking movie. So basically, this white guy, he's an Irish white guy, and he married Drew Barrymore, Kerry Washington, and then they end up getting divorced and all this. And one and Kerry Washington, she was like pro-black, and so they ended up getting a divorce. He cheated on her with a white girl, so she felt hella betrayed. All this. Well, this cop was like, "Oh, how are you gonna try to preach?" Because she was mad at the cop for arresting the son when he was black. The cop was black, and he arrested a black kid.
Mhm.
So she was tripping on him for being like, "How are you gonna do this to your own people? How are you gonna work for the man? This and that and this." And he's like, "Hold up, you're trying to tell me about being a sellout worker for the man when you went and slept with the man. You married a white man, and you probably married the same white man that will say a racist comment and then be quick to pull out his phone and say, 'Hey, look, I'm married to a black girl. It's all right.'"
Mhm.
Yeah, and then I was like, "Damn!" Like like when he said that, I was like, "Oh shit," because I'm not like that. Even though sometimes like when I would say a dumb comment, I'd be like, "Well, what do you mean my girlfriend's black? What do you mean?"
Yeah.
But it's like I don't do it like to be like, "Hey."
That's funny. So that's an ongoing joke, and with black people with, oh, they probably say they got a white
Yeah,
friend. They
I got a
probably.
black friend. Yeah. It's funny when you actually say that. Our boss, my son, it's just like, and if you have a lady, say, "No, I got a black friend. What do you mean?"
Yeah, she was telling me that yesterday when we were walking. That's funny.
Yeah, her and I talk shit about her all the time because she strikes that kind of person to me. I don't like her. I never liked her from the moment I met her. She just seemed fake when I met her.
Right.
But yeah, it's like I've done that in the past, but I don't do that now. Like I have so much other shit I could bring up. Like really, you're gonna fucking call? Like I hate when people call me a racist, especially they assume I'm racist because I'm white with blonde hair and blue eyes. Well, even though Angela says not blonde anymore, she's like, "Oh, it's more brunette." So I always like to take that.
You got some blonde parts.
Good blonde. But they see my skin tone, my hair, my eyes, and they automatically assume I'm racist. Automatically. I hate that. But now what if I did that to somebody else? If I judged you off the way you look? Now don't get me wrong. If I see, like what I was telling Angela, if I see a black person wearing a do-rag, got a rag hanging out their pocket, sagging their pants, look like a thug, I'm going to automatically assume they're a thug. That's how you're portraying yourself, but not because you're black. How you're portraying yourself.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that because I feel the same way, and it doesn't. And as me, and clearly I'm black, but when I see the same thing, I get nervous too.
Yeah,
And clearly it's not because they're black.
yeah,
I get nervous around white people who look suspect to me.
yeah.
I move to the other side of the street, and
Because of
it's
what we've been through, we've seen the bullshit, and we try to protect
when
ourselves.
I see a certain Mexican, I be like, he look like he's gonna be, and I'm gonna move over here. And a lot of people, especially black people, they use that as an excuse. Oh, it's because of my skin color. No, it's because of your appearance.
Yeah, you're dressing as a hooligan. I'm like, hey, you're a hooligan.
Exactly. So you can't get mad at people for assuming that. If you were walking down the street looking like a decent human being, nobody would assume anything.
Right.
And it bothers me, and kind of sidestepping a little bit when people use their race or their past or whatever to let it define them. Like, oh, this happened and this happened, and or when people use Black history to define them. Oh, we're like this because of this. Oh, I'm bitter because of this, and I'm this. Or in that goes to race. That goes to relationships. How women say, I'm this way because of my ex, and this is I've been no, you cannot let your past define you. You cannot let the past of your ancestors define you. Otherwise, we're never going to get anywhere. You can't use that your bitterness and your hatefulness as you can't use that as an excuse for that. You can't because that just goes on to like I see people like I grew up with. I see some of them who used to be in bad situations and they're doing great. Have their Some of them have their own businesses. Some of them, and of course, we grew up in bad neighborhoods in the ghetto. Like you grew up in the ghetto, I grew up. We grew up in the same city, like but in the ghetto part, and but then I see people that I grew up with, and they've never left where they're from. They're not doing anything better. Yes, and you cannot. You cannot. And it, even though um, I'm not in the best situation that I can be in right now, but I have been in better situations and I have been in worse situations. But I don't blame my past for it. I grew up in the dirtiest city in Riverside, Rubino. But I've been everywhere. I've done everything. I've had good paying jobs. I've had low paying jobs. Like there's so especially being in a broken home, you know, dad doing whatever, mama doing whatever. There could be so many other things so many other paths that I could have went down. And the same thing goes for my sisters. There's so many other paths. The three of us, we all live the same life, but slightly different. And because of that, we could be one of those women with a bunch of baby daddies. We could be strung out on drugs. We could be in and out of jail. We could be all of those things, but none of us are. Yeah, we've all made our mistakes, but none of us are. Yes, and especially, for Angie, I think she had it worse, and she had succeeded above all else. Like, it's crazy, and it makes me mad when people, when I see people talking about on or TV or podcasts or whatever, and the system's holding us down, and the system this and the system that. It's not the system, it's you. Figure out how to work within that system. Exactly. And if it's not working for you where you're at, and I say this for the people, you know, from where we're from who, saying, oh, I can't find a job, that's why, I'm still like this, or I can't, it's hard, blah, blah. If it's not working for you there, then get up and go where it will work for you. Simple as that. That's what we did. It's not working for us here. We can't find a decent paying job. We're leaving. We're gonna go do research, find out the cities that are lacking employees, and we go there and say, hey, I need a job. And it's gonna be easy as 1, 2, 3. But a lot of people are so afraid to get away from themselves. Their comfort, and then they want to complain that things aren't working for them. Uh, Success is not comfortable a lot of times. So you failure is comfortable.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I just hate that. It just hurts me. Like, I mean, I'll never downplay whatever happened to black people because I know there's a lot of fucked up shit happen. I've witnessed
Mhm.
a lot of it firsthand. I'll never downplay it. It's fucked up. I remember when I was growing up in Wisconsin, and, and I was a little kid. I remember them teaching us history, and they used to tell us a lot of the fucked up shit that white people did to black people. I'm like, that's fucked up. Like, I used to say out loud, like, I'm embarrassing my ancestors. Why would we do that? That's embarrassing. Like, that's horrible.
Mhm.
Because I've never in my life saw somebody for the color of their skin, ever.
And it's like all these. Why do those fucked up things? Like, why?
Yeah.
What's the point?
It's like you'll never ever hear, like, I've never in my life called anyone the N-word. Ever. Ever in my life. Because that's just a nasty word.
It is. I don't want my kids saying that.
I know.
Like, and I hate it. I'm glad you said that because I've worked, was working at this place in Texas, and the people there were so comfortable with themselves, and because they have black friends and blah blah blah. Like in this workplace, they would say the N word, and they weren't black or anything. Both. Well, mostly, uh, but I would hear the ER sometimes, and they'd say it around me, comfortably, not calling it to me, but just just saying it like as if it's normal speech, and it used to make me so uncomfortable. And it, and at first I thought it was because they weren't black and they were saying it, and I was like, had to check myself. I'm like, I don't even say that word. I would smack my kids in their mouth if they said that word. And I heard a black person say it in the same place I worked at, and it bothered me still. Like it's such an ugly word, and people say it's a term of endearment and blah blah blah. But if it's a term of endearment, then it should be okay to say by everybody, and it's not. And some people get offended when other people who aren't black say it. But if it's a term of endearment, it shouldn't matter who. I use bitch as a term of endearment. I call my sister bitch all the time. Like I don't see it as a nasty word, but anybody can say it. But not everybody can say the N word. See, and it I agree. I agree. I agree. I agree. And it's crazy how, just like you said, that's crazy how things go. And when I call, when I say, you know, when I use the word, which I don't use it often, I usually only say it to people I'm close to. Like I'll be like bitch or, something like that. But I don't be like you're a bitch or anything like that. But yeah, yeah. But the N word, no matter how you say it, you only could be a certain person to say it. So that's why I don't agree with that one. Because you have to be. It shouldn't be a membership.
Right. And so, like when I was growing up, my dad's mom's uh, husband, because my grandparents got divorced. So my step grandpa, he was a racist piece of shit, and I used to hate like he used to say those awful like these nasty things about other races, and I used to hate it. But he never it never rubbed off on me. Or like when one day this was like one of the most embarrassing moments of my life. It was me and two of my friends. My friends are black, and I called my grandparents. I'm like, hey, can I bring my friends with me? They're like, yeah, more the merrier. We got food for everybody. I bring my friends. They start acting funny to my friends. I didn't catch this then. When you're a kid, you don't catch this. Well, we're in the back of the car one day, and we're in the back of my grandparents' car. We're driving down the street, and these black people walk across the street. But they look like hooligans. They had saggy pants, do-rag on, rags hanging out of them. They look like gang members. My grandpa goes, oh, look at them fucking right there. And I'm like, with my friends in the car. And I'm like, my mouth literally dropped. And I'm like,
what do you...
And then they look at me
like, did
you? This motherfucker serious?
Right.
And I'm like, I never again brought a black person around them, except for Angela. They thought she was Mexican, so because she's so light skinned. But I didn't care. I wanted my grandparents to know, like, if you accept me for me, this is me.
This is a part of me now.
Yeah. And I introduced them to her, and they thought she was Mexican, so they're like, oh, she's a sweet Latina girl. Well, because you remember how light she was, but she was hell light. And I didn't want any bad feelings. I didn't say, hey, I didn't be like, yeah, but I didn't say, hey, she's not Latina, she's black.
Right.
I just left
You just left it alone.
Only because my grandparents were who they were. But they
You can't change.
Right, you can't change that. That's decades of racism right there.
Yeah.
But my dad wasn't like that. And that was my grandma's son. So, but I was just glad they accepted Angela.
very hard not to accept.
Right. Everybody loves her. She's awesome. I'll never forget that. I was so nervous.
And it's crazy, the type of person she is goes back to what I was saying earlier, how people can't use their past to hold them down.
Yep.
Like,
She slayed shit.
she's always hustled. She was like 8 years old, getting up early in the morning, going to collect cans to get some money so she could go to the grocery store and get her something to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Because my mom was too busy doing whatever she was doing.
When
Like,
we were kids, and I think like right after my dad had died, she moved in with me, and we were staying with Darla. I didn't have no job, but she kept money in her pocket. I just drove her around. She kept gas in the vehicle. She would always get money. She was a hustler.
yeah. She get that from my mama, though.
Yeah.
She does get that from my
She
mama.
was a straight hustler. We never needed anything. We always had money. We always bought food for the house. Always had gas in the car. She was even paying my car notes. All she wanted me to do was drive her around. Sure, why not? I mean, I was getting a little $900 check every month, but that ain't shit. She was $900. I mean, this was 2000s, so
yeah.
$900 was a lot back then. But she was doing.
She held it down.
Yeah.
She's always held it down.
I remember we got our first apartment because of her. She put $500 down for us, but then the person scammed us out of our $500 because we were underage. Well, I was underage, but she wasn't. She had just turned 18. We were gonna get an apartment in San Bernardino, and it was a loft. It was a piece of shit, but I remember at the time, I was like, oh my god!
What's our place?
I was super excited. And then, so we had to put a $500 down payment, so she put that down for us. And then when we went to move in, it was like, she 42 faked us. She said, this is where you're gonna move. So it was a decent place, but it's still a piece of shit. But then the one she showed us, she showed Angela, afterwards, it was like a rat-infested, bed-bug-infested piece of shit. And I was like, fuck no, this is what she showed me. This is what she told me I was going to move. I'm not moving here. And then the lady wouldn't give us our money back. So we were out $500.
It's crazy. It's funny you said it's kind of similar but different. Back when my first marriage with the Mexican.
With Todd, right?
Ted. Yeah.
I remember him.
Yeah. So we were living in San Bernardino, but at the time I had got a job in Chino, and he was working in Ontario. So we wanted to be a little closer, even though they're both in San Bernardino County, but we wanted to move to Riverside. It was just easier.
Yeah, because it was like a midpoint for both.
Yeah. So I started looking for houses. Remember that house I stayed in on Poplar?
Mm-hmm.
So when I went to go look at that house, I saw it in the newspaper. It's funny when I say newspaper. Nobody uses a newspaper anymore.
I know, right?
So I saw it in the newspaper. I called the lady. It was an old white lady. I went to go look at it. So as she's showing me around, I could see it in her face that she didn't want to rent to me. Mm-hmm. Like she wasn't very into it. Like she was just like, yeah, so this is that, blah, blah, blah. I said, I like it. She said, well, I don't know. I have a lot of other, people looking at it, whatever. So I said, okay, I just want to bring my husband by so he could see it, And she was like, okay. So I'm pretty sure she thought I was going to bring some. Yeah. So when I came back with him, and it's this nerdy Mexican with glasses, just off of work, wearing a button down and slacks, she was so. All of a sudden, it was like she didn't have any other.
Right, her whole attitude.
Yeah, her whole attitude changed. She rented to us on the spot right then.
Bitch.
Like.
I remember that house.
How could, but before when it was just me.
Right, and she thought you had a black husband.
Yeah, like she didn't want any trouble. I don't like that. Like.
Right, me either. It just sucks. That's the way the world is. It was a lot different back then too. 20 years ago, it was way different.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That was almost 20 years ago.
Dang, I'm old.
I'm feeling that way myself.
I'm old enough to be a grandma.
Damn,
You'd think I was an adult 20 years ago. So.
It's hard to believe I'm 30 fucking years old. I might be 31.
I don't even remember how old I am. Yeah. I'm either 37 or 38. I don't know.
a lot of times I'm not gonna lie, I forget I'm in my 30s. I forget I'm 30.
Yeah, I think when you get to a certain age, you stop caring about your birthday.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm in my 20s.
How old is Angie?
31.
She's 31, so...
She's older than me by 4 months.
And I'm 6 years older than her, so she's 31. That means I'm 37. Oh, I'm 37. That's how old I am.
Yeah, but if someone didn't tell you she was 30, you probably would say 26, 27.
Yeah.
Late 20s.
You know what I like? Sometimes I still get ID'd.
Oh, that just tickles her.
It tickles me too.
Yeah,
I be
I
like,
don't give a fuck. I hate it, but
I guess women are different. Like.